Hello and welcome to the Radical Podcast, inspired by the essence of the word radical, proceeding from the root. We explore the roots of metaphysical wisdom.
This season is all about divination, tarot, and the power held within our intuition. This is The Radical with Nicole and Christina, the two metaphysical girls in the material world.
Welcome to the Radical Podcast. This is Christina.
And I'm Nicole.
Today we're talking about the tarot card Temperance.
For Sagittarius season, I'm excited to talk about this card.
I thoroughly enjoyed researching this card today. So let's just get right in it. Let's just start. The card name is Temperance. In the Thoth tradition, it is called art and sometimes called alchemy. And when we get to the card comparison, we'll hear some other authors' interpretations or different names of this card. It is Roman numeral XIV 14, number 14. And Nicole's going to talk about a little bit more about numerology. The element of this card is mutable fire. Mutable. I have a little note here about the mutable one in the fire group is open to going with the flow and typically willing to hear all sides of an issue. That's like one of the traits of the mutable zodiac signs, a little bit like where we're talking about Sagittarius. But also because of where we are in the season of the year, Sagittarius is from the 22nd of November to the winter solstice. This is the transition from one season to the other. This is the ending of the year, the finishing of the solar year. So it has that mutable, flexible, changeable energy to it. So that's mutable fire. Is this a yes or a no? It's a yes. The zodiac sign for this card is Sagittarius. Revisiting our podcast on Sagittarius, not all those who wander are lost. You remember all the way from last year when we were doing the zodiac signs? A few notes on that is Sagittarius has themes of unifying the animal nature with the human nature. It's the bridge between heaven and earth. It has an adventure and pursuit of meaning, quest to escape. We talked about the archer and horses and Chiron, the wounded healer. Go back and listen to that episode. I feel like I have so much more deeper understanding of all those core concepts, and I have so much more that I would say about Sagittarius if we were doing that today. But that was a fantastic podcast. Go back and listen to it. The other key point there was the pain of the wound leads to the wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
That's the lesson from Chiron, the wounded healer.
And I feel like purpose and direction are two keywords that I always think of for Sagittarius. Direction with kind of that arrow imagery.
The planet is Sagittarius's Jupiter. The house is the 9th house. The 9th house, the mantra of the ninth house is I see. It's the house of long distance travel, overseas travel, international travel, not traveling to work, not traveling to your neighborhood places. This is voyages. This is long journeys. It's also the house of philosophy, higher education, ideas, focus, theory, and training. You can kind of see those themes also from Chiron about learning and experiencing the world and life. And then because of Jupiter, this is about mental and physical expansion. When we start talking more about the Temperance card, that jumps out at me a lot. Mental and physical expansion. Crystals that can be associated with this card, with the Temperance card, citrine for abundance and success, very Jupiter. Yellow topaz, but also blue topaz for balancing and cooling sometimes the over fiery, that Sagittarius may get. Lapis lazuli, I've always associated that stone with wisdom and learning. Like if you were getting ready to take a course or you're trying to focus or study something, I've always thought of lapis lazuli. And rainbow fluorite, that's the one that has the green, the pink, and the white. I have like one piece of that somewhere. And that's for balance and clarity, emotional stability, blending opposites together, moderation. Stones like that that have multiple color bands can be very good for balance. For some more correspondences, the Hebrew letter is Samekh, Samekh. The symbol in the use of the Hebrew letters in tarot, the symbol is support or crutch, and the meaning is patience. The tree of life pathway is the 15th pathway, and that is in the center, lower middle. It's between Yasod for foundation and Tripareth for beauty. The chakra, solar plexus. That is what my one of my books offered, and I vibe with it. I was like, yes, solar plexus. That's our willpower and our discipline and our drive. Some symbols and themes for the Temperance card, and this has a lot to do with the historical representations of the Temperance card. The iris flowers for hope. The actual figure in the Temperance card represents the virtue of temperance, which is one of the three, there's four. We just talked about this in Justice when we talked about the missing prudence card. So temperance is one of the other four cardinal virtues. The crown represents mastery and sovereignty. Pouring cups, balance, creating unity, and also the manipulation and your manifesting and creating. 1 foot on land and 1 foot on water is the connection between the subconscious and the conscious. The inner and the outer world. So that ties into the themes: balance, alchemy, combining, mastery. And in a different way of the Magician's card of manipulation of tools, this is the mastery and the combining and the alchemy of what we possess already. Just a note on history. Before the 1700s, generally the figure was a woman with no wings. It was after the 1700s that this symbol of virtue became an angel-like figure with the wings and the white robe. Also, it got really religious when there was a whole section on it was because it was temperance, it was diluting water and wine. That was what the two cups were mixing. That might resonate with some of you listeners, but that's not what I see when I look at that card. And another note there, we talked about the iris, and there is a goddess iris. Some cards have rainbows and irises, which is the symbols of that goddess, which is for hope and balance. But I didn't dig very, very deep into that goddess. Into that goddess reference. But that is some interesting notes on that card.
So the number 14 itself gives us some information, some themes about the Temperance card. So if we stay kind of in the lane of the blending energy, the numerology of 14 merges the energy of the 1, starting anew, and the 4, foundations and the angelic or the spiritual realm. So kind of above and below, the water and earth, conscious, subconscious. Taken together, the number 14, you could think of it as seeking guidance from our spirit council. And if you see this number after seeking guidance from your spirit council, it could be affirmation that the choices you're making are in alignment with your divine path, kind of like a universe giving you the thumbs up. My guided tarot book put it this way: Temperance teaches us to call on the angelic realm for support in taking a balanced approach, yielding results that are better than we could obtain on our own. So, something that I think this card is trying to convey is sort of this weaving of our willpower, our fire, our solar plexus energy with help from the divine or spirit or the pure potentiality, which Deepak Chopra uses that term, and allowing forces beyond what can be known or seen to kind of step in and help us.
I saw a note. You have the 4 and the 1, and then I saw one note about it being 7, like 7 and 7 is 14, but representing the same thing. That they were mirror images, that the 7 represented the outer and the other 7 represented the inner. So listeners, you might have heard that too, but it still is the same thing. A representative of the conscious, unconscious, inner, outer.
Mm-hmm.
The different realms of our consciousness.
Yes. And then the book that I'm reading on numbers by Alana Fairchild, she says this about 14. The universe is bearing witness to our life changes or decisions, and more than that, supports them and is encouraging us to continue and stick with our change or decision until that becomes grounded into a new reality. And that really taps into those separate meanings of 1 and 4, starting anew, implementing new changes, but then the 4 is grounding it into reality. Okay, so before we get into card comparisons, I have our astrology forecast for Sagittarius season, which begins November 21st. A week later, November 28th, Saturn will move into its direct movement in Pisces, or Saturn will, I guess, station direct in Pisces. It's been retrograde, and it started its retrograde in Aries, and it's backed up into the 29th degree of Pisces, and it'll cross back into Aries, and eventually November, on February 20th, it will conjoin with Neptune at 0 degrees of Aries, and that's like a big deal. I'm sure we'll talk more about that.
Yes.
December 4th is the super full moon in Gemini. December 10th, Neptune will station direct in Pisces. So just like Saturn, it was in Aries, it retrograded back into Pisces, and now Neptune will be reversing its course and moving to meet Saturn at that conjunction at 0 degrees of Aries. December 19th, we have 2 events: the new moon in Sagittarius, and as far as I know, this could change, but last I heard, 3i Atlas is reaching its closest point to Earth on that day. So that's pretty exciting. And then December 21st, we have the winter solstice and the beginning of Capricorn season.
Yes, new year, new solar year.
And as of this episode's release date on November 27th, the Sun and Mars are in Sagittarius. So I pulled my 4 non-Rider-Waite-Smith temperance cards. And pretty much the first thing I noticed is they all share a color palette. The cards are all mostly using purples, blues, greens, and yellows. Yellow symbolizes positivity and optimism. Green, abundance and healing. Blue, calm, peace, ease, and harmony. And purple, a higher power, divinity, spirituality, wisdom, divination, and serenity. So, to talk specifically about each card, my zodiac tarot card shows a figure dressed in white pouring liquid from one cup to another, and the liquid is those blues, purples, and greens. When I compare this to the Rider-Waite-Smith deck, the cups that this figure is holding, they're further apart, and there's more distance and there's more height between them. And what that is giving me a sense of is this is less water-like and more sort of like ethereal. Like it gives it sort of like a magical quality. There's also a celestial feeling, ray of light shining down on the figure's head in this card. And there's also this sort of very light, sheer, delicate, airy looking scarf that's yellow draped around the figure's arms. So there is this sort of lightness and delicate airiness to the card. The figure is also standing in front of a window, and spiritually, a window symbolizes a connection to the divine, a way for light to enter. It's a threshold between the realms and a way to receive spiritual insight, aka kind of letting the light in. And from the guidebook for this deck, she says Sagittarius, like Temperance, tempers its experiences, which can be very diverse, in order to discover and know, to broaden its world and vision. And so Christina mentioned it already, but that Jupiterian expansiveness kind of comes in to play here. All right. The Medicine Woman Tarot. This card she renamed Blend. And we have a figure dressed in purple kneeling beside a river, pouring water from a cup into a bowl. And in the background, we have the rainbow that Christina mentioned that you will sometimes see as a common symbol on this card. The rainbow is yellow, green, blue, and purple. And a rainbow, I kind of threw it into Google. I was like, what do you have for me? What does a rainbow mean? And a rainbow forms when two opposites meet, like fire, the sun, and water, the rain. So this is very much a direct sort of thematic image symbol for temperance, bringing two opposites together. And the guidebook for the Medicine Woman Tarot says, when you draw this card, it is a time to integrate the best of the known with the new ideas you are gathering from the unknown. And I love, as you all know, the theme of known and unknown and seen and unseen. So this also ties into what we know versus gathering information and new ideas from the unknown, from the spirit world, for example. In the Antique Anatomy Tarot, we see two hands that look like they're holding a light ball or a chi ball. We've talked about that before. But instead of it being like a ball of chi, it's a brain. So we have this with one hand above, one below, that theme coming into play. The joints and the tendons of the hand are very much emphasized in this illustration. And on the tops of the hands, purple and yellow flowers with vibrant green leaves are growing out of the tops of the hands. And I actually think the yellow flowers on this card could be irises. I am not
I can't see
super great
close
with my flowers. Yeah, but I think they definitely look similar. And so Christina did mention already that irises can symbolize balance. I also noted here they can symbolize harmony and the blending of opposite forces. So definitely on brand. And this guidebook says it's important to understand that balance here is not about making all things in your life equal, but about removing your negative behaviors and thought patterns in order to find peace within yourself. And last but not least, my Mystic Mondays deck shows a sort of balance beam style scale. And on one side, we have one large kind of circular ball being weighed against four smaller circles. And this card to me made me think about the saying or the phrase, living life on life's terms, and how some days feel really heavy. There might be like one big heavy thing that you face. And some days might feel lighter, like you have a lot of little things you're dealing with, but it doesn't feel big and overwhelming. But the message overall is sort of, no matter what it is we're facing, we want to try to maintain our harmony and our sense of balance rather than sinking into one extreme or the other and sort of derailing from our spiritual path. And this guidebook says this is a time of great synergy when things are falling into place because of the harmonious balance that you've created for yourself. And that, I think, we've said as above, so below, but also as within, so without. And so when we cultivate that harmony within, we see it without as well. And that, I think, is one of the great gifts that the Temperance card is trying to bring us if we can manage to do these things.
For my card comparison, I'm starting with the Spirit Song Tarot. The author there has it numbered 14. They're calling it the Temperance card with 2 keywords of balance and harmony. The author has chosen the zebra as the animal representing the qualities of this card. And the author writes, zebra pilots the harmony of opposites. Spiritually, the zebra represents the ability to embrace the full complexity and unique identity of yourself. The zebra is black and white. The patterns are, every zebra's stripe pattern is individual to them. It's like a fingerprint. There's like this lesson of the importance of community and safety in numbers. There's this fierce individuality, but also you need your community and you need to stay together. There's also an element of resilience and bravery in zebras and their ability to survive and thrive in some very, harsh environments. I thought to myself, while I was doing this is why weren't zebras domesticated? Why can't you ride a zebra? Or why don't we? First of all, their physique is unsuitable to support a human on them. You shouldn't ride a zebra. They have a more robust build, but they have shorter backs than horses. They are very aggressive. Like very aggressive. They have far more aggression and very unpredictable temperament. The horses might kick on reflex, but zebras are actively kicking at you. So zebras have not been domesticated. There's a few stories, or you might see some instances of zebras doing domestic things, but it's very rare, few and far between, and that has more to do with training the zebra than it being a domesticated animal. There's intense defensive mechanisms in zebras due to the harsh places that they live and being a prey animal. And I did not know this last point about why zebras aren't domesticated. They have a wild social structure. They are unlike horses. Zebras lack hierarchical social structures. It makes horses easier to train because they recognize hierarchy. Zebras do not have that in their social structure. I didn't really think immediately right away about zebra and temperance, but I do now. I understand the lessons from the nature of the zebra, from the spiritual understanding of what their essence and what their energies represent. And I think it is a very fascinating match. If it resonates with you listeners, go and do more research on that. Moving on to the Wild Unknown Tarot, the author has this as Roman numeral 14, called Temperance, 2 keywords, healing and renewal. There is a great blue heron. That is what the author has called that bird. The author writes, the great blue heron remains calm and peaceful as she blends the opposing elements of water and fire. The water is dripping off of the body of the heron onto the fire at its feet. There is a rainbow background, starting at red at the top of the card, moving down to blue at the bottom of the card. So there is that rainbow imagery of the combining of the elements. I looked up great blue herons, or just herons in general, as far as their as far as what they can mean in the spiritual realm. They navigate between the two worlds of land and water. The nature of the heron is quiet observation and must wait patiently and very still for the perfect fish to come along. They have the strength to stand and the strength to be there very stoically waiting. And so then taking those qualities of the great blue heron spiritually, this animal can represent self-care, independence, and the power of stillness to find clarity and success. And the secrets of the witch's garden, the author has called this card 14, Temperance, 1 keyword, complexity. The card has a little echo from the Rider-Waite-Smith deck in that it has a central figure in a very natural landscape, but it is a very different card to me. There's a witch in the center of the card, and she is manifesting, creating, moving energy, moving a substance between the 2 golden cups in her hands. She's in a very natural environment. There's a lot of power and ability and balance in the figure, as I see. She's very much in control. She's also very at ease. She's very easeful and very much at home in the environment that she's in. She's in her element.
She's very poised.
Yes. There's a band of gray hair in her curly hair that's loose on her head and shoulders. To me, that is the symbol of her wisdom and her life experiences, and just kind of giving you an essence more of where this witch is in her life. And the landscape is so lush and fertile. It looks a little wild and it looks a little tame, like a little cultivated. And it's on a riverbank. She has 1 foot in the water and 1 foot on the land. There's irises and lotus. The irises are on the riverbank, and the irises are the same color palette as the dress that the witch is wearing, which has I wrote sunrise, but it also could be sunset, right? It depends on how we're looking at the card. And it is like this beautiful palette of lavender and pink and yellow. Her dress is flowy and open. The irises by her side have like the same tinges or the reflection from the sun.
Very pastel.
And very iridescent and holds a lot of colors, just like when you were talking about the colors in the cards that you had. The lotus there, also thinking about the lotus flower, and the message from the lotus flower is taking all that life has given you, composting it and growing into something different. I really like that there's lotus flowers on this card. Okay, my final card, the Sacred She. The author calls this card 14, and it has called the card Karma. The author wrote, I took out one sentence that I really like that the author wrote here, is be the person who can change your world. There's no need for apologies or beliefs. This card, the more I look at it, the more I see, right? There's a golden owl across the top of the card, and that owl is looking directly at you as you're looking at the card. There's a stoic face in the center of the card with a softer gaze. The eyes are close to being closed or close to being open. The hair and the neck are full of jewels of that face in the center of the card. There's 2 golden hands coming forward out of the card holding a yin-yang disc. The whole rest of the card is a lush, golden, rich, natural, overlapping layers of, it looks like there's like fur at the bottom, feathers and petals. There could be butterfly wings up closer to the top. And of course, the owl is integrated in that with the golden feathers at the top. It's just to me, a very, and I love the hues, the yellows, and the golden nature of this tapestry of interwoven natural elements. I see the face as being within that webbing or that weaving of the natural elements. It's like the subconscious mind or the meditative mind. And the hands are coming forward with the life lessons and the life experiences and the life balance of yin and yang, like the lessons of karma. This made me think of the story of the Golden Buddha. Have you heard that story, Nicole?
I don't know.
I heard it told like it was, I took it as like it was a story to teach you a lesson. And I wanted to get it right, so I just did a quick internet search, and it is an actual true story. The story of the Golden Buddha starts with an ordinary clay statue in a temple. In 1955, they were moving this statue from one place to the other in 2 stories. Either it fell from the crane or it got washed out during heavy rains and the clay cracked. So one of the monks went up and shined a flashlight inside, and inside they found a 5.5 ton solid gold Buddha. Back in the 18th century or earlier, the monks had covered the Golden Buddha to protect it from invaders. And then the monks who did that all were killed or died and just passed on this clay Buddha that for generations the monks didn't know what was inside of it. In 1955, they discovered it. And now it's a major tourist attraction in Bangkok, Thailand. But the story is finding out what's inside of us? Have we forgotten what we have buried inside of us, or what we are unwilling to like showcase or show or share? That golden Buddha, that peak of what's inside of us. Because we get so covered with illusion and the world and bills and responsibilities and jobs and hurt and heartache and disappointments and suffering that we forget that there's that golden element inside of us.
I have heard this because it's in the Finding Joe movie. That's the hero's journey.
That had to be it. I didn't know it was a true story. I thought it was what's the word when it's like an allegory or a story
like
to teach us a lesson?
Fable?
Maybe. I thought it was, yeah. So it's true. It's a true story. And it's an excellent story about our internal landscape and how we sometimes forget what we have buried deep inside because we put on a protective shell. That card made me think of that. And in this particular card, though, I don't see the golden weaving as a protective shell. I see that as an interwoven of all of the characters' experiences and surroundings and all the things that they have created for themselves. Their karma. That's their karma tapestry, maybe. Another card that every card I look at, every time I look at that card, I see another element. I see another thing. But those are my cards. I enjoyed very much learning about zebras, herons, and the golden Buddha. It was fantastic.
So putting it all together, this card is about alchemy, harmony, blending, balancing, uniting, and merging. There's a sense of like the flow state or being connected to the sacred flow, looking for signs and following inspired guidance, especially since this is card 14 and all that we talked about earlier with the number 14. It also made me think about becoming fluent in our own language of divination, like we talked about a few episodes ago. Surrendering to the plans of the universe. When we engage with the energy of this card, we do have our will and our solar plexus energy, but we also are blending and uniting the divine plan into that formula. I also read that this card can convey moderation, patience, self-restraint, and sobriety. Mm-hmm. This could be picking up on a moment in history, the temperance movement specifically, where...
Well, I read a whole thing about mixing water and wine, that was what that character was, that's what the figure was doing.
Right. So that could play in. When I came across these words, particularly the moderation, what came to mind for me was a concept called the middle way. And I have a little bit of story time because I have something, a little excerpt. This, the following paragraph is an excerpt from Jack Kornfield. And he's describing this concept of the middle way. Buddhist psychology is neither a path of denial nor of affirmation. It shows us the paradox of the universe within and beyond the opposites. It teaches us to be in the world, but not of the world. This realization is called the middle way. If we seek happiness purely through indulgence, we are not free. If we fight against ourselves and reject the world, we are not free. It is the middle path that brings freedom. The middle way describes the middle ground between attachment and aversion, between being and non-being, between form and emptiness, between free will and determinism. The more we delve into the middle way, the more deeply we come to rest between the play of opposites. Learning to rest in the middle way requires trust in life itself. And this sort of made me think about Sagittarius energy because in our podcast on Sagittarius, I described Sagittarius energy as the student, the wanderer, the philosopher.
Mm-hmm.
And so here we go with some Sagittarian philosophy with this concept of the middle way and sort of moderating this balance between extremes.
Read something recently. It's not about getting what you want, it's about wanting what you've got. And there's a lesson in there too about moderation and about this the Sagittarius, the student, the wanderer, the philosopher. There's an element of really exploring more about what lights you up, about what really makes you happy, and finding out and doing more of that. Not attaining more, but figuring out what you actually need and what you actually want by having experiences. But yeah, that's the thing. It's not about getting what you want. It's wanting what you have, what you've got.
Totally. I have a second story time and it's a little shorter. I have an excerpt now from my book 36 Secrets. And she writes, often we assume temperance means moderation, which is not inaccurate. Finding the middle way is an integral part of temperance, but moderate does not mean average. The great work is not the work of trying to be mediocre. It is the work of traveling to one's own heights and depths, exploring the light and shadow, expanding the self to its own extremes. To be tempered is to be tried and tested, pushed to one's limits, and brought back. So, the experiences that we have being pushed to and through our extremes give way to qualities like adaptability, resilience, composure, poise, maintaining our center and our equilibrium, and moving through life without a sense of urgency and anxiety because we have, like Jack Cornfield said, trust in life itself. And I would argue once we've been tempered by life and we've experienced these extremes, we can trust ourselves too.
That quote from your, how many secrets are in that?
36.
36 secrets. But it's right there. It's the work of travel, explore, expand. That is Sagittarius. That is Jupiter energy. That is the temperance energy. And then taking that and then finding out more about yourself. Mm-hmm. That is like the quote, just like sums it all up.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was excellent. So in reverse, temperance can convey impatience or pushing for or forcing results rather than allowing for divine timing or other concepts that we've talked about in previous episodes, like the law of least effort, what in Chinese is called Wu Wei, effortless effort. And I believe this also came from Deepak Chopra, but the economy of effort. This idea of working smarter, but not harder. And in this card's context, that means weaving in divine assistance. The Temperance card in reverse can also convey the sense of what happens when oil and water meet. That was a really powerful, like, visual image that, like, knowing what the opposite of temperance would be, like, they do not mix. They do not mix. It can also mean extremes, excess, being impulsive, being frivolous, or derailing from our spiritual path.
And the question from the Secrets of the Witch's Garden to write the reversal, the question to ask yourself is, how can I listen?
So the last major arcana card we did was Judgment. And I did not appreciate the Christian imagery on that
Yeah.
card. And we have an angel on this card. I mean, it bothers me a little bit less because I think we don't have, the people coming out of the coffins and like kind of the rapture type imagery going on. Yeah. But I also would appreciate or do appreciate. I think your card from the Secrets of the Witch's Garden and also the Wild Unknown Tarot with the heron on it. I really like those. But I would, what I'm trying to say is I don't need the angel to be there. I think it takes away for me from the card's meaning. It's more of a detraction than anything.
I like cards that feel more relatable to me. And a card with an older woman in her backyard at her own pond is much more relatable to me than the image of an ethereal, perfect being of pureness and anyway, yeah, I get the virtue that it's trying to project and the self-mastery and the self-sovereignty, but we've come so far in our human history with those images and with the religious teachings and with the religious imagery that we have grown through TV and books and holiday celebrations that it's hard to sift through all of that to really to focus on like the core meaning behind the angel. It comes with a lot more baggage now, in my opinion, as well.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. There's a lot of baggage and it detracts for me.
Well, immediately you look at it and it puts you in a completely different headspace. I'm not in a magical metaphysical world when I see an angel. I'm put into a structured, hierarchical, Christian, monotheistic world with lots of definitions and labels.
And patriarchy.
So, yes, and patriarchy. This is my moon card. My moon sign is Sagittarius. Your moon sign is your inner emotional world. It can show you how you process your feelings and what makes you feel secure. Your moon sign is your instincts and reactions. How you are going to naturally respond to things. And it's your private self. It reflects parts of you that you may keep hidden or are only seen by people very close to you. And it's also your nurturing side, how you nurture and probably how you like to be nurtured. I put this little note together just as a reminder of what the moon sign is for us in our zodiac and our astrology. And then I was like, well, no wonder I was all about that karma card, about the golden figure and about being hidden and about the layers that we put on ourselves to protect ourselves from the outside world. The energy of the Temperance card is, I feel like the energy I'm moving towards is the energy of my Secret of the Witch's Garden card. The witch at home in nature, in her element, working her own manifesting energy. Right, using what she knows. Yeah.
no one can gatekeep your magic. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that's why I don't love the Christian imagery, because there's gatekeeping in
Mm-hmm.
religion. And I really love that card
Mm-hmm.
from your
There's a
deck.
lot of definitions, a lot, because they had to define it because it's a hierarchical structure. That is Christianity. But the witch in her garden with one foot in the water, making her own manifesting energy based on what she has at hand and what she knows and what she's experienced. I love that. I love that card. So I think we both have learned. I mean, I'm not going to complain about any of the tarot cards because my feelings about the tarot cards are directly related to how I'm feeling today, right? There's some that I need the energy of temperance today. I'm just like all excited about it, but I might not have needed the judgment energy when we were talking about judgment.
I think when we wrap up this season, we should do superlatives. And I think the judgment card is going to be and continue to be the front runner of most likely to end up in the trash can.
It'll be interesting, listeners, to see when I was going to say if, but I'm like, when Nicole and I make our own tarot card, what that, I mean, I don't even want to call it judgment. What number is judgment? Is it 20? What card 20 is going to be in our deck? Okay, now
You
that we're
have a bit
ready
of homework, Christina.
to find
So,
something that you'll agree with.
no, for our next episode, next week, when we talk about the 8, 9, and 10 of Wands, you need to figure out your moon and Sagittarius degrees so we can see which minor arcana card corresponds with your moon sign.
It's the 8 of Wands.
Okay, well, now you don't have homework.
But okay, I say that and I think I know that. But so I'll say it today that I think that's what it is, but let me go back and double check because I think that's what it is because it's right at the beginning. It's the first of the 3 cards. But I could be wrong, listeners. We'll see. But I get the 8 of Wands all the time. We'll see if I was correct in my leap of assumption. But I'll still do that homework, Nicole. Okay. Are you ready for the message from the universe?
Yes.
Okay. We have 3 cards. But the last card I'm going to read is the card for everybody that is the giving you more information about the first 2 cards. How do you say that, Nicole? You have a very good way of saying that. It's like
For the collective?
yes. And also it is a clarifier card
Oh,
for the
yes.
first 2. Is that how you say it?
Yeah.
That card is going to be, I'm going to read that one last. You have 2 cards, A or B. Card A is the 2 of Pentacles, Lord of Harmonious Change. 2 pentacles, similar to the pentacle on the ace of this suit, are shown united by a serpent biting its tail. A hand grasps the center of the serpent in the space formed between the 2 discs. The figure 8 suggests the symbol of the infinite. At the center of each disc is a Greek cross, a revolving symbol. Above and below are the symbols of Jupiter and Capricorn. This card represents the first decan of Capricorn ruled by Jupiter. Thus, Jupiter and Capricorn, 1 degree to 10 degrees. Herein rule the angels Lakabel and Vrishaya. This is a really interesting tarot deck. Okay, card B is the 4 of Swords, the Lord of Rest from Strife. 2 clenched fists emerge from the clouds at the bottom corner of the card. Between the fists are 4 swords that cross in the center at the point of a rose with 5 petals. Around the rose emanate numerous radiations that serve as the shield. At the top are 2 small daggers whose points meet, and at the bottom, 2 small daggers whose hilts meet. The symbols for Jupiter and Libra are incorporated into the design of the hilts of the daggers. This card represents the last decan of Libra ruled by Jupiter. Thus, Jupiter in Libra, 20 degrees to 30 degrees. Angels Leviah and Kilal. In this card, an agreement has been reached and Jupiter and Libra are in harmony. Because of the truce, the hands do not hold the swords. Meanings: rest after strife and sorrow, respite, peace after war, abundance, relaxation of anxiety, and ease. Reversed: not knowing when to stop or rest, circumspection and activity. Did I not read the Two of Pentacles? I didn't. I'm going to go back to the Two of Pentacles meaning: the harmony of change, alternating gains and losses, weakness and strength, ever-varying occupation, wandering, discontent with fixed condition of things, alternating elation and melancholy, industrious yet reliable, prudent yet sometimes foolish, argumentative, kind yet inconsistent, and wavering. Reverse Two of Pentacles, forced gaiety and inflexibility. Okay, listeners. Okay. All right, now you have those two cards. The clarifying card for these two is the Queen of Wands. Yes. Queen of the Thrones of Flame, Fire of Water. A crowned queen with long falling hair and resolute face is seated upon a throne surrounded by flames. Her right hand rests on the crest of a leopard's head. She bears a long wand with a very heavy spherical head. The wand is suggested of the mysteries of Bacchus. The symbols for Pisces and Aries appear beneath the orb of her wand. Rules from the last decan of Pisces to above 20 degrees of Aries, including part of Andromeda. Meanings: adaptable, steady force, sympathetic, understanding when she wants to be. Reversed: revengeful, obstinate, domineering, deceitful, and tyrannical. The Hermetic Tarot. I like that there was a lot of description in the meaning. We will have pictures. These cards are fascinating to look at and to read more about.
And next week, continuing our Sagittarian study, the 8, 9, and 10 of Wands. So the 3 Sagittarius decans and their corresponding minor arcana cards. So until then, listeners, we thank you and we love you. Bye.
Bye. Thank you for listening to this episode. The Radical Podcast is created and produced by Nicole and Christina.
Music by Van Horton. His Instagram is Van Horton Music. Stay in touch with us at linktr.ee/theradicalpodnc.